Mr. Tom King, head of the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association. How you doing, Tom?
Pretty good, Cam. How are you?
I'm good. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, too. I was listening to your intro, and Mayor Bloomberg is going to have to work pretty hard to get that distinction after this last snowstorm.
He is. He really is. And I said at the beginning of the program that, look, I would love for New York City residents to get ticked off, en masse about the war on their constitutional right to keep and bear arms, or their war on trans fat, or the war on smoking, or the war on salt, whatever. But the New York voters have clearly shown that they are comfortable with the idea of having a nanny state mayor, as long as he's competent at running the city. And what we've seen now is that the competency has taken a hit, Tom.
Oh, it's taken a big hit. It's only frozen water. I mean, come on.
Well, the last week was the week that we saw all of the stories about the sanitation department and the were there intentional slowdowns, were there intentional work stoppages. The story that I'm sure every New Yorker is aware of today, the troubled individual who tried to commit suicide by jumping off of a 9th-story window and landed safely in the piles of rotting garbage that have been accumulated on the streets of New York since the snowstorm. There are just a ton of stories about the city not functioning properly. And look, like it or not, the buck stops with Bloomberg. And as the New York Post put it today, Bloomberg's response to all of this has been either what was it? Let me use the actual phrase. I can't find it here. Puzzling at best, and just downright out to lunch at worst.
Well, that's typical of Mayor Bloomberg. He's first one in line to take credit for anything, but he's not there when it comes time to pass off blame.
No, that's true. And again, I don't know how well this serves Bloomberg's reputation. I have to say, there may be a silver lining in this for gun owners, that if Bloomberg is smart at all, he will be spending less time on things like mayors against illegal guns and mayors against trans fat, and more time on being the mayor of New York City.
One could only hope.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Free political advice for you, Mayor Bloomberg. Not that you'll take it from me, but I really do think, though, that is what he needs to do if he wants to be remembered when he leaves office, not as the greatest mayor ever. I think that's probably out, but simply as a billionaire who tried his best to keep the city functioning. He better concentrate on New York City for a while.
I agree with that entirely, and I think that the people of New York are beginning to see that as well. And maybe the mayor is beginning to see the writing on the wall that that this is not the springboard to the presidency like he thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I think so. I think that Bloomberg's presidential aspirations are dashed now, frankly. He may still try to run, and the no labels movement may still try to recruit him, but and he'll have a ton of money to throw at any race that he decides to get in. But this is going to be Andrew Wilkow, my fellow host here on SiriusXM Patriot last week, said that this was Bloomberg's Katrina, and I tend to agree with that description.
Yeah, I do too. That's a very apt description.
It really is. Now, turning our attention away from the Big Apple and up to Albany, where Governor Patterson. I mean, Bloomberg may leave gun owners alone for a while, but Governor Patterson kind of was hands off. Andrew Cuomo, however, the new governor, Tom, has a long and storied history of going after gun owners.
Yes, he certainly does. All the way back to the Clinton administration when he was head of HUD and architect of the Smith & Wesson, or architect of the contract that Smith & Wesson signed for responsible gun manufacturing and distribution.
Yeah, and then you couple that with Eric Schneiderman, who was the guy pushing microstamping. He is now New York's Attorney General. Before he even took office, he had announced this, what was it, the I-95 gun trafficking coalition. I don't even know who's involved in this, but this
it was the coalition of I-95 attorneys general.
Aha, okay. And the idea is to get all of these attorneys general together so that Schneiderman can push New York gun laws on other states.
Absolutely. And I think that most of them kind of told them to go pound salt, but with the exception of New Jersey, but and nothing much has been heard of that, but that he's still working behind the scenes on this. It's not going to go away.
Well, you guys are getting ready though to send a really loud message to the legislature later this month, right?
Yes, we are. We have a huge rally coming up in Albany on January 25th. It's the Sportsman's Awareness and Outreach Day. It's a follow-up on last year where Wayne came and spoke to the crowds, and it's going to be even bigger this year.
I hope so. You guys had thousands of people last year, and I would strongly encourage every New Yorker, I don't care where you live and how far it takes you to get to Albany, but this is, if you only go to the state capitol one day, make it January 25th so that legislators are aware, because sometimes, Tom, it sounds silly, but sometimes I think these legislators, the anti-gun ones in particular, forget that there are plenty of gun owners who live in their districts, that they should be represented as well. And, you guys send a message when thousands of people show up and say, you will respect our rights, and we want our rights to be secure and strengthened.
Yeah, that's right. And, all of these people in the various counties, there's buses scheduled from most of the counties in upstate New York, through some of the sportsmen's federations and gun clubs and all that. So check around at gun shops in your area and in sportsmen's clubs to find out if anybody's putting a bus together to come down. It's a great event. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on, and you're going to get to see your politics in action.
Yeah. Now the Senate right now is in Republican hands again, right?
Yes, it is. We have a 2-seat majority.
All right. Now that was always and has been at least as long as this program has been on the air, with a couple of years exception. That's been the bulwark for New York gun owners. That's been the place where gun control bills have gone to die. The Assembly will pass these gun control measures. The New York City-dominated General Assembly will pass these gun control measures by fairly wide margins in some cases. And then they've gone to the Senate where they have faced much stiffer opposition. Look, clearly this year, Tom, with Governor Cuomo, with Attorney General Schneiderman, I got to think that they are going to continue to push a micro-stamping bill. And there's going to be a lot of political pressure on state senators to go along with this.
Yeah, that's entirely right. We, the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association, just got our first legislative report out for the year, even though they haven't been in session yet. And there's somewhere around 22 anti-gun bills that have already been pre-filed. And the rumor going around Albany is that there will be a big push that the governor is not going to be directly involved because he has further political aspirations beyond Albany, but his lieutenant governor, Bob Duffy, who is the former mayor of Rochester and the former chief of police of Rochester, who is an avowed anti-gunner, is going to be doing a dog and pony show around the state with the chiefs of police and some victims, and they're going to be pushing for four or five gun-related changes of legislation, micro-stamping, restrictive storage regulations and insurance, expanding COBIS, a new assault weapons ban, and one other that escapes me right now. But that's in the offing. It's going to be a very, very busy year.
And what's so important, if you don't live in New York State, you may think, well, thank God, I don't have to worry about this. Wrong. Because here's the thing. California passed microstamping a few years ago. Technically, the law should have gone into effect last year, but there were problems with the patent that has not been resolved. But if New York gets microstamping, there's going to be a big push among a lot of other states that, all right, now that New York and California have done it, we should go ahead and do it too. And the idea of, as you said, restrictions on storage of firearms, as well as a requirement that you carry some sort of insurance, is that right?
That's right. That guarantees that that you have, and I can't remember the legal term for it, but that you have the ultimate liability, that you have to insure against anyone being hurt or damaged by your firearm, no matter who has it, even if the gun has been stolen.
Wow. Again, this is an idea that I'm sure the anti-gunners are testing in New York. We have actually seen this, I believe, as well. The Brady campaign, I know, has called for this, but I want to say, was it in Chicago that they Daley had made reference to a similar requirement, and I don't think it made it actually into the post-McDonald gun laws there. But clearly, this is an idea that the anti-gunners would love to try to take nationally. You guys?
Oh yeah, they've been pushing it here for 3 years now.
Really?
Yes.
Yeesh. All right, and unlike places like Chicago and Washington, D.C., Tom, New York City did not see its crime rate go down last year. Mayor Bloomberg still declaring war on legal gun owners, and the criminals seem to be noticing. So, sadly, that gives him a talking point, and that gives the anti-gunners a talking point that crime is up in New York, and that's why you need these additional gun control requirements, because what you have done in the past clearly is not enough, or so they'll say.
That's right, and and we know that's bull, and I think the people are starting to realize that a little bit too, and along with those other crimes being up, the interesting fact that you have not seen in any of the media is that New York has released early more violent felons from their prison sentences than all of the other states in the nation.
Oh, really? You guys are number one.
Yeah, well, it's good to be number one at something,
Jeez, more violent felons released early than any other state.
Yes.
Well, congratulations for that distinction, Tom.
Oh yeah, isn't that nice?
Yeah.
And then they want to take the only means of protection that the average guy has away from it.
Unbelievable. Well, I know that we're going to be paying a lot of attention to Albany over the next 12 months, Tom, and I appreciate you joining us. Before we let you go, we've talked about you said 22 anti-gun bills that have been filed so far. Do you care to share any of the pro-Second Amendment piece of legislation that you guys might be working on this year?
There's a few things that we're going to be working on. Some of it is regarding hunting, expansion of the age limit for being able to use a firearm a firearm in New York State is a pistol under the auspices of a trainer. Right now, it's illegal for anyone 21 and up to use a firearm unless they have a license. We're looking to get that changed. We're doing some things with pistol licenses. We're trying to expand the crossbow hunting season. And and a few other things that we're going to work with, but in New York, it's better to get one or two items and push them really hard and try to get them through than it is to flood them with a plethora of bills because they just don't pay any attention to them if there's too many of them out there.
All right. Well, listen, Tom, we are out of time for this segment, sir, but I appreciate you joining us, and we'll be talking to you again before January 25th. But folks definitely need to save that date and head up to Albany there for the big rally.
Yep, and Cam, we'll see you in a couple of days. I'll be down in your area for the board meetings.
All right. Look forward to seeing you in person, sir.
Okay, you take care.
All right. We'll talk to you soon. Tom King, head of the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association, joining us here on Cam and Company.